Actually, when we think about the first death, the question that should pop in our mind is, who was the first person to die? Okay? And when we figure out who was the first person to die, we should understand what was the first death. According to your definition of death, the first person to die would actually have been Abel. Okay? If you're talking about biological death. Okay? But if you are talking about removal of eternal life, the first person to die would actually be Adam. Okay? And so we'll see that. Okay? Now remember, Adam was given the instruction not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? Remember that. And that is Genesis chapter 2, verse 17. So let's jump right up to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 17. All right, so it says there, let's go to our Bible now. It says there, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Now notice, it did not say 930 years later you will die. No, it says in the same day that you eat of this fruit, you will surely. It didn't say maybe. It didn't say possibly. No, it says you shall surely die in the same day. Now we know, according to Genesis 5:5, let me just jump over there briefly, right? According to Genesis chapter 5 and verse 5, it says, all the days that Adam lived were 930 years and he died. So if we are thinking the biological death, the death of the body, then Adam did not die the same day that he ate of the fruit, and then Abel would have been the first death. When Cain murdered Abel, that would have been the first death. But according to God's understanding, let's go back. According to God's understanding, in Genesis 2:17, he says, in the day that you eat, you died. And so it means that God was not speaking of biological death. He was not speaking of the death of Adam's body, right? He was speaking of the removal of eternal life from Adam. That is what he was speaking of.